Today, we're diving into a classic neighborhood showdown, a homeowner versus their homeowners association. But, this isn't just about overgrown lawns or the wrong shade of paint on a fence. This is a really fascinating case study about the power of evidence and what happens when one single, crucial piece of it just goes missing.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like your HOA is being just a little bit unfair? You know that feeling, right? You're paying your dues, but it feels like that money is going everywhere except where it's supposed to. It's a super common frustration, and honestly, it can feel like a battle you just can't win.
Well, today we're going to open the case file on one homeowner, a man named Jay Janicek, who decided he wasn't going to take it anymore. He took that frustration all the way to court to fight back against his HOA, Sycamore Vista.
So let's set the stage. This is the story of one homeowner's fight.
Okay, so in one corner we have our petitioner, Jay Janicek, and in the other corner, the respondent, his HOA. The allegation was actually pretty straightforward but really serious. He was claiming that the association was breaking its very own rules.
So what was this fight actually about? What was at the core of his complaint?
At its heart, Mr. Janicek's whole case was about fairness. He's looking at his HOA fees, and he believes that money is being used to pay for things like a big loan for a roadway that just didn't benefit a specific part of the community in the same way as others.
And look, this wasn't just some vague feeling he had. The judge's own summary of his argument puts it perfectly, saying that, quote, some of the expenses do not benefit the whole development equally, and therefore they are not appropriate for everyone to pay for.
And he wasn't just arguing about his feelings. No, he pointed to a very specific rule buried in the HOA's governing documents, Article 11, Section 11.5, which spelled out exactly how costs for common areas were supposed to be handled. This little rule, well, it was the entire foundation of his case.
But, like any good story, there's a turning point, and this case had a huge, and as it turns out, a fatal flaw.
Okay, so this is absolutely the crucial point. Mr. Janicek's entire argument that the fees were being misused, it all hinged on how the HOA's own documents legally define the term common areas. That rule he pointed to, it was all about who pays for what in those areas.
And right here, this is where the whole thing just completely falls apart. On the one hand, his claim is that the fees violate the rules for common areas. Makes sense. But here's the massive problem. The official document, the map labeled Exhibit B, that legally defined what those common areas even were, it was missing. It was never submitted as evidence.
Just think about that for a second. Without Exhibit B, there was simply no official, legally binding way for the judge to know what was or wasn't a common area. It's like his entire argument was a house built on a foundation that just wasn't there.
So, with this giant gaping hole sitting in the middle of the evidence, how could the judge possibly make a decision?
Well, it all comes down to a fundamental legal idea called the burden of proof. And in simple terms, what this means is that it was Mr. Janicek's job to prove the HOA was breaking the rules. It was not the HOA's job to prove they were following them. The responsibility, the burden, was entirely on him.
So the judge's logic here was actually incredibly straightforward. Let's walk through it. Step 1, the burden of proof was on Mr. Janicek. Step 2, that key piece of evidence, the map defining common areas, was missing. So Step 3, his argument about fairness, while maybe valid as a feeling, couldn't be proven as a specific legal violation. And that leads directly to the final step, Step 4, petition denied.
The final order from the court was crystal clear, no room for interpretation. It is ordered that petitioner's petition in this matter is denied. And just like that, the case was closed.
Okay, so what can we all take away from this homeowner's fight? What are the big lessons here?
The lessons from this case are, well, pretty powerful. First, and this is the big one, in any legal dispute, evidence is absolutely everything. You also have to understand that the burden of proof is on you to prove your claim. And that means that just feeling something is unfair isn't enough. You've got to find a specific rule violation, which of course means you have to know your governing documents inside and out.
And that leaves us with this one big lingering question, doesn't it? Would the outcome have been completely different if he had just remembered to submit that one missing document, that one little map, Exhibit B? We'll never know for sure, of course, but it's a powerful reminder that in the world of law, what you feel doesn't matter nearly as much as what you can prove.